What is with Hollywood remaking everything nowadays? So I saw Overboard today, and this movie was awful. This movie was terrible. Okay, what was it about? Well, Overboard is a remake of a movie from the 1980s, starring Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, where basically in the 80s version, Kurt Russell plays a working class guy who's working for this really prissy and rich girl who goes overboard in a boat and then wakes up with amnesia. And to get back at her, he goes to her and tells her, "Hey, you're my wife and we're married." Well, in this one, the roles are reversed, except Kurt Russell's character is played by Anna Faris, and the rich, uptight person is played by Eugenio Derbez. Here's the problems I have with this movie. Is that it's not funny. It's a comedy that isn't funny. It's like painfully unfunny. The only time I ever cried to smile was like, yeah, there are some good moral values in this movie, but holy shit, this movie is not funny, like, at all. Like, there are comedies that, like, maybe they're not necessarily, like, super funny, but they're somewhat enjoyable. This is not one of them. I couldn't enjoy myself, and this movie dragged. It was going at a snail's pace, and it was a 1 hour and 50-minute movie that felt like it was 2.5. It was super, super dragging. And let's get into the characters. Eugenio Derbez plays this guy named Leonardo, who, he is an asshole. Like, he is a jerk. It is hard to get behind, like, a character kind of developing and reforming when this guy is so unlikable. And yeah, he's a little different when he has amnesia and he starts acting like a normal person. But even then, like, it's kind of like another version of his character from How to Be a Latin Lover. But the thing is, though, is that while How to Be a Latin Lover's character Maximo was actually a lovable asshole, this guy, it's hard to get behind. Like, he's just an asshole to be an asshole. He's not funny about it. He's just a jerk. And then we get to Anna Faris's character, Kate. Oh my god, she's not a good character either. I mean, she's Anna Faris playing a version of Anna Faris. Like, you see her in almost any movie outside of the Scary Movie movies. It's one of those characters. She doesn't have very much variety. And it's not good. Like, you know where this movie's going, and even when the resolution happens and you see what happens, I still don't like these characters. The most likable character, to me at least, was Ava Longoria's character. She was actually pretty enjoyable and funny, to an extent. This movie was painful. It was hard. Like, it's hard to get behind a comedy that goes in this kind of direction. That goes in the direction this movie goes, with how unlikable these characters are. And, like, I've seen bits and pieces of the old one. It's not a terrible movie. The 80s version, it's not a terrible movie. But this movie, oh my god, like, this movie is hard to get through. I was the youngest person there in this movie theater, and there were people that were laughing, but I don't know. This movie was just it was not enjoyable. I don't know. It just did not feel right at all. It felt cheap. It felt like they were trying to cash in on, hey, maybe people don't know that this movie was remade. I don't know. Like, this movie was just not enjoyable at all. Like, I just don't understand why they have to remake just everything nowadays. And this is a perfect example of that. They remake a really kind of a sleeper hit in the 80s. Like, I know people have heard of Overboard, but it's got Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn, two people that were relatively famous in the 80s. Anna Faris is past her prime, and Eugenio Derbez isn't that well known. I'm glad he's getting more work, but he's just not that well known. So it just seems like you're just taking two people and just throwing them together. And another big problem with this movie is that you know where this movie is going to go. You could tell from the trailer where it's going to start and how it's going to end. And that's a really big problem. If this movie is so predictable, you know how it's going to end before you even walk in. Me and Allie, we both knew how this movie was going to end before we walked in. This movie was just not fun. It was not enjoyable. It was like the only reason why I didn't walk out is because it's my virtues of not walking out. I can't walk out of a movie because I refuse to let a movie beat me, and I paid money for it, so I might as well get my money's worth. So in the end, this movie gets a 2.5 out of 10. It was terrible. It was not funny, and whoever wrote this movie really needs to reevaluate what funny is, because this movie just was not funny, and I just could not enjoy this movie at all. Alright, thank you everyone for watching my review. If you want to watch my last one, it is over here. You want to click my face right down below and subscribe, that would be awesome. I try to upload at least once a week. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!